Good afternoon, all of you.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, so in continuation with the same civics chapter, political parties, today we will have a look at the challenges which the political parties face. And till now, we have had a look at why do we need the political parties, what functions do they perform, and then why why we have the need of political parties in a democracy. Then we also had a look at how many political parties should we have in a democracy. Then we had a look at some of the national political parties and some of the state parties. So now today we'll have a look at the challenges which are faced by the political parties. And now, we have already seen that the political parties are very crucial for the very important for the working of democracy, and we have also seen that political parties are the most visible face of democracy, and so much so that the people who might not know anything else about democracy or our constitution, but they might know something or the other about political parties. And that is why it is very natural for the people to blame whatever is going wrong on democracy, on the political party. So whatever is going wrong with the democracy, people blame political parties for that. And all over the world, it is not only in India but all over the world, people they express dissatisfaction uh, with the failure of the political parties to perform their functions well. And now this is the case in our country also. And so there has been dissatisfaction and criticism of the political parties, and this has brought us to four problem areas in the working of political parties. And so let's see. Now first, we already had a look at it, so we'll just have a quick look at this once more. Now, the first challenge is the lack of internal democracy within parties. Now, this has been a tendency in political parties, uh, not only in India but elsewhere in the world also, that the power lies in the hand of a few leaders at the top. And parties they also do not keep their membership registers, and they do not hold their organizational meetings, and they do not even conduct internal elections regularly. And so ordinary members of the party, they do not have sufficient information as to what is going on inside the party. And those people may not have the means or the connections needed to influence the decisions in the political parties. And as a result, what happens, the leaders they get more powerful to make decisions in the name of the entire party. And now since one or few people, now they have all the power concentrated in their hands. And so now what happens, that those who disagree with them, now they find it difficult to continue in the party. And because of that, more than loyalty to the principles of the party, now loyalty to the leader, it becomes more important. So that was the first challenge. Now the second challenge is of dynastic succession, and this is related to the first one. And now, since most of the political parties they do not have open procedures for their proper functioning, and so now there are very few ways through which an ordinary worker in the party he can rise to the top. And now those who happen to be in the leadership, now they are in a position of having unfair advantage, and they favor people close to themselves or even their family members. And in many parties the top positions are always controlled by members of one family only. And now this is unfair to the other members of that party, and this is also not good for democracy, because then what may happen, people who may not have sufficient or adequate experience or popular support, now they may come to occupy the positions of power. And those who really deserve, they may find nowhere no position of power in the party. And now this tendency is present in some measure all throughout the world, including some of the older democracies also. Now, the third challenge is about the role of money and muscle power. the growing role of money and muscle and parties. Now especially this happens during elections, and part elections it is all about electoral competition and all that, and since parties are focused only on winning elections, so many times they use shortcuts to win elections, and they tend to nominate those people or select those people, give tickets to those people who have a lot of money or who can raise a lot of money. And so rich people and big companies who give funds to the party, then they also have influence on the policies and the decisions which are made by the party. And in some cases what happens that parties they also support criminals, those who can win elections. And people who are in support of democracies all over the world, they are worried about this increasing role of rich people and big companies in democratic politics. And we also have a good example of this in our country. Yes, can anyone give me that example? A big company supporting political party? Yes, class 10th. Class 10th.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
ma'am, BJP to what's that name? Mukesh
Reliance.
Ambani's company to BJP.
Okay.
Maybe, ma'am.
All right. Okay. And the fourth challenge is that very often the parties they do not seem to offer a meaningful choice to the voters. Now in elections, the voters they choose from among different candidates belonging to the different political parties, and sometimes independent candidates also. But many times what happens, we do not have a real choice. And why? Because in order to have a real choice or a meaningful choice, parties they need to be different from each other. But in the recent times, this there has been a decline in the differences based on ideas or ideological differences among parties in most parts of the world. And for example, the difference between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party in Britain is very little. And why? Because they agree, both of them have the same fundamental principles on which they agree, but basically they only differ on how the policies uh, should be framed and implemented. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, on the fundamental aspects, both of them they agree on the same thing. And in our country also, the difference among the major political parties on the economic policies, now the difference is very little. Now it has reduced, and now those who want really different policies, now they don't have a real choice available to them. And sometimes there's also a difficulty that people cannot choose different leaders, because what happens, the same set of leaders they keep shifting from one party to another. Okay, so now these are the four challenges which the political parties face throughout the world, and in India also. Now, in order to face these challenges, it is important that the political parties they need to be reformed. But the question is that are the political parties willing to reform or willing to change? And if they are willing, then what has stopped them from bringing in the reforms so far? And if they are not willing, then is it possible to force them to reform? Now, citizens all over the world they face this question, and now this is not a very simple question to answer, because in a democracy, the final decision making power it rests in the hands of the leaders who represent different political parties. And we can replace them, but you can replace the leaders but only by another set of party leaders. And if all these leaders they do not wish to reform or they do not wish to change, then how can anyone else force them to change? And now here are some of the recent efforts and suggestions in our country to reform the political parties and their leaders. And earlier what happened after elections, now if the major political parties they did not have the total number of seats to make government. So what they happened, they used to buy MPs from the different political parties, or even many times smaller political parties, or even independent candidates. And so what happened, the constitution, it was amended to prevent these elected MLAs and MPs from changing parties. And this was done because, these elected representatives, they were indulging in defection. So they defected from one party to another, and now this was to become ministers, or even sometimes for cash rewards or for money. And now the law has been changed, and so the law states that if any MLA or MP, they change their party, then they will lose their seat in the legislature. And so this law has helped to bring down defection. But at the same time, any dissent to the leadership, now this had become more difficult, because MPs and MLAs, now they have to accept whatever the party's leaders they decide. Then the Supreme Court, they passed an order to reduce the influence of money and criminals, money and muscle power. And so now it is mandatory for all the candidates who are filing in for the elections, to file an affidavit also. And this affidavit, they have to give details of their property and the criminal cases pending against them, and also about their liabilities and all that, and the money that they make. And so the new system, this has made all this information available to the people. But still, there is no system to check that whether the information or the affidavit that they provide, now whether the information given by them is correct or not. And we also do not still know that whether it has led to a decline in the influence of the rich and the powerful, and the criminals also. Okay. Then the election commission, they have passed an order, and now it is necessary for the political parties to hold their organizational meetings, and also to file their income tax returns. And the parties, they have started to do it also, but still it is just a formality, and it is not clear that if this step has led to greater internal democracy in political parties. So these are some of the changes which had been brought about, changes in the law and all that. And but besides this, some suggestions are often made to reform the political parties. And now these, the ones that we'll do just now they are just the suggestions. And so it is suggested that a law should be made to regulate the internal affairs of the political parties, and it should be made compulsory for the political party to maintain their register, and to follow their own policies and ideals, to have to follow their own constitution, and to have a independent, means in case there is any party dispute, then they should have an independent authority uh, to act on it. And also to, they should be open to hold elections to the higher post, means elections to the higher post should be open. Then suggestions have also been made that it should be made mandatory for the political parties to give a minimum number of tickets, about one third, to the women candidates also. And similarly, there should also be a quota for the women in the decision making bodies of the party, the main decision making bodies of the party. And then it is also suggested that the state should fund the elections, to bring down the effect of money, that the state should fund the elections, and the government, they should give parties money to support the election expenses. And this support could be given in kind also, like petrol, paper, telephone, etc., or it could be given in form of cash also, and on the basis of the votes that the political party has received in the last election. Now, these suggestions, they have yet not been accepted by the political parties. And then, if they would be accepted, and when they would be accepted, they may lead to some improvement. But you know, finding a legal solution to political problems, now we need to be careful in that, because if we try to over regulate the political parties, or make many laws on them, then this will make the political parties find out ways to cheat the law. And besides, it is the political parties only, which who are there in the legislature which pass the laws. And so obviously the political parties, they will not agree to pass a law that they do not like. Now it is as simple as that. And further suggestions have been made that there are two ways in which political parties can be reformed. Now, one is that people can put pressure on political parties that they should change, and now this can be done through petitions and publicity and agitations. And ordinary citizens and pressure groups and movements and the media, they can also play an important role in this. And so if political parties, they would feel that they will lose the support of the people, then they would like to take up reforms, or else they will lose the support of the people. Then uh, the other thing is that the political parties can improve if those who want the political parties to improve, they should also join the politics. And the quality of democracy, it depends on the degree of political participation, that the quality of people who are participating in a democracy. And it is difficult to reform politics if the ordinary citizens, they do not take part in the politics, and they simply criticize it from the outside. And so the problem of bad politics can only be solved by good and better politics. So these are the suggestions which are given to reform the political parties. Okay, so that was the chapter. Have you all understood? Is there anything that you have not understood?
Yeah, no, ma'am.
All right. So, I will give you the questions today itself also, because we didn't had many classes till now, and we have lost so many classes. And so today itself I will give you questions, and if possible, then I will try to give you the answers also later on, some of the answers. Okay. So write down. I will not give you many.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, 1 minute. Ma'am, can I ask you a question about the boards? Ma'am, because ma'am, there is a confusion.
Yes,
Ma'am,
beta.
ma'am, how our marks will be calculated? Ma'am, that 20 marks.
Uh,
Ma'am, there will be a file or it will be given according to our marks which we have obtained in our half yearlies.
Better normally it is on the basis of that, you have 5 marks for your notebooks, 5 marks for your activity, and 10 marks on your internal.
Ma'am, what are internals, ma'am, like
Your
half yearlies, ma'am?
yes, yes.
Okay,
So
ma'am. Ma'am, there are no files for social studies.
there are no
Files.
beta
Ma'am, project files.
project files. You will get marks on project files, I think, in the science subject and computer. And for social studies also, sometimes you have to make a general project, um, which comprises all the subjects. And I don't know about this year as of now. And if there's anything like that, you will be informed, so you don't worry about that. But otherwise, as of now, 5 marks for notebook, you get 5 marks for your activity, and 10 marks for your internal. Now how this year they are going to do it, we already have your marks, so if it is that, we'll give it to them. There's no problem in that. Okay. And if I get any information, I will try to talk to the teachers, and even try to find out from the board, from the site, CBSE site. If I get anything, I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
beta.
ma'am.
Okay, so write down the questions. Do you have your pens and copies ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First one. State the various functions. State the various functions political parties perform in a democracy. State the various functions political parties perform in a democracy. Okay, next. What are the various challenges faced by political parties? What are some of the challenges? Sorry, not some. What are the various challenges? What are the various challenges faced by political parties? Third, suggest some reforms. Suggest some reforms to strengthen parties. Suggest some reforms to strengthen parties so that they perform their functions well. So that they perform their functions well. Okay, next. What is a political party? What is a political party? What is a political party? Question mark. Continue in this. What are the characteristics of a political party? What are the characteristics of a political party? Next, explain three components of a political party. Explain three components of a political party. Explain three components of a political party. Now, under this, you will write about the leaders, the active members, and the followers. The three components are the leaders, the active members, and the followers. You will write about this in detail. Next, what is the role of opposition in democracy? What is the role of opposition in a democracy? Next, how has multi-party system strengthened democracy in India? How has multi-party system strengthened democracy in India? How has multi-party system strengthened democracy in India? Now put this in single quotes and
Ma'am, can you please repeat this
okay.
question?
How has multi-party system strengthened democracy in India? Either put a question mark and then write explain. Yes, put a question mark, that will be better. No need of quotes. How has multi-party system strengthened democracy in India? Explain. Then you could have questions on the different political parties also. Like I am giving you on one, but questions like this could be asked for any of the parties. Like write this one. When was BJP formed? When was BJP formed? Question mark. Mention its major ideologies. Mention its major ideologies. So like this you could have questions on the other political parties also. And you could also have a question like this. Write down the next one. Which national party of India opposes imperialism? Which national party of India opposes imperialism and communalism? Which national party of India opposes imperialism and communalism? Question mark. Discuss two of its main features. Discuss two of its main features. Next, write a note on CPI. Capital CPI, all three. Write a note on CPI. Next, why it is believed, why it is believed that political parties, why is it believed that political parties need to face, that political parties need to face and overcome, why is it believed that political parties need to face and overcome the challenge of dynastic succession? Why is it believed that political parties need to face and overcome the challenge of dynastic succession to remain to remain effective instruments of democracy, to remain effective instruments of democracy? Question mark, explain. I will repeat the question. Why is it believed that political parties need to face and overcome the challenge of dynastic succession to remain effective instruments of democracy? Explain. Next, describe the importance of political parties in a democracy. Describe the importance of political parties in a democracy.
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
Describe the importance of political parties in a democracy. Describe the importance of political parties in a democracy. Next, differentiate between national and regional parties. Differentiate between national and regional parties. Next, describe the importance of regional parties in strengthening democracy. Describe the importance of regional parties in strengthening democracy.
Ma'am, please can you repeat once?
Describe the importance of regional parties in strengthening democracy. Describe the importance of regional parties in strengthening democracy. Next, examine the advantages and disadvantages of two-party system. Examine the advantages and disadvantages of two-party system. Next, why is there a lack of
Tell the last question.
examine the advantages and disadvantages of two-party system. Examine the advantages and disadvantages of two-party system. Next, why is there a lack of internal democracy Why is there a lack of internal democracy within political parties in India? Why is there a lack of internal democracy within political parties in India? Why is there a lack of internal democracy within political parties in India? Question mark. Explain with examples. Explain with examples. Name the national political, next question, name the national political party. Name the national political party which promotes secularism. Name the national political party which supports secularism and welfare of weaker section and minorities. Name the national political party which supports secularism and welfare of weaker section and minorities. Full stop. Mention any 4 features of that party. Mention any 4 features of that party. Okay, likewise you can have a question like name the national party which draws inspiration from the ideas and teachings of Sahu Maharaj. So like this you can have questions on the different political parties, like name the national party which draws inspiration from the ideas and teachings of Sahu Maharaj, and then mention any 4 features of the party. How many questions?
Ma'am, 16.
Okay. Okay, now write down some short ones. What does partisan means? Partisan. 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 Next. What is an alliance or a front? What is an alliance or a front? When was BSP formed? What is its symbol? When was BSP formed? What is its symbol? And like this you can be asked about all the national parties. What is defection? Next question. What is defection? Give one demerit of multi-party system. Give one demerit of multi-party system. Okay, so I think so that would be all for today. Have all of you written everything?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
please can you repeat the first question?
Ma'am, the question which was after that, examine the advantages and disadvantage of two-party system. The question which was why there is lack of internal democracy. After that, I will.
Within political
Wi-
party of India. Explain
Within
with
political parties in India, why is there a lack of internal democracy within political parties in India? Written? Within
Yes,
political
Ma'am,
parties
can
in
you
India,
repeat the first one?
why is there a lack of internal democracy within political parties in India? Question mark. Explain with examples. The first question.
What does partition mean?
नहीं. State the various
Various
functions of
functions
political party.
perform in a democracy. State the various functions political parties perform in a democracy. State the various functions
Okay,
political
ma'am.
parties
Thank
perform
you,
in a
ma'am.
democracy. Okay, so do the question answers in your registers, and if there's any difficulty, you can ask on the group. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.